The street was nearly empty, silent except for the distant hum of traffic and the sharp click of a man's shoes on the pavement. A boy, barely 8 years old, stood still under a flickering streetlight, his tiny hands clenching the straps of his backpack. His eyes were wide with confusion, and a creeping fear had locked his legs in place. He didn't know why the man behind him had followed for 3 blocks. He only knew something didn't feel right. The figure was just far enough to be a blur, face obscured by the shadow of a hood, movement slow, calculated. Each step he took seemed to echo louder than the last, like time itself was stretching in warning. In a nearby patrol car, a trained K9 named Axel sat beside his handler, eyes half closed, body relaxed. But the moment the boy's trembling form came into view, Axel's posture shifted, ears perked, muscles tightened. And then, that sound, low, primal, rumbled from deep within his chest. Growl, he could smell fear. Hear the rhythm of distress in the boy's heartbeat. Sense the wrongness of the man's approach. His handler hadn't given a command. There was no signal, no protocol. Axel wasn't supposed to move, but his instincts screamed louder than the rules. He took a step forward, then another. A deep snarl escaped his throat, causing the man to slow, then pause. The handler barked a correction from the car, but Axel didn't flinch. His eyes stayed locked on the boy. Something wasn't right. He could feel it in his bones. And in that heart-stopping moment, the world seemed to hold its breath, watching to see whether the dog would obey his training, or break every rule he'd ever known to save a child in danger. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. Police dogs are trained for obedience, discipline, precision. They're conditioned to act only when commanded, to follow orders, without hesitation, to be tools of the law, not creatures of emotion. But Axel was different. Somewhere beneath years of training and strict routines, something had remained untouched, something raw, instinctual, deeply alive. As his handler called out commands, expecting immediate compliance, Axel remained still. His eyes didn't move from the boy. His growl deepened. He could feel it. Something was wrong. This wasn't a random man. He wasn't just another passerby. Axel's instincts picked up what logic couldn't. The tension in the air, the deceit in the stranger's stride, the way his hands moved a little too deliberately inside that coat pocket. There was a darkness clinging to this man like a shadow, invisible to human eyes, but not to Axel's. His mind raced. He wasn't supposed to act, not without a command, not without proof. But proof wouldn't matter if the boy was already gone, and in that split second of hesitation, where duty clashed with instinct, one truth roared louder than the rest. The boy was in danger. What does a hero look like? Sometimes it isn't a caped figure or a uniformed officer with a badge. Sometimes it's a 4-legged warrior with a heart too big to ignore a child's fear. This is the story of the K9 who broke the rules. Not for glory, not for reward, but because he saw something no one else could. And in the moment that mattered most, he chose to protect, no matter the cost. His name was Axel, and he wasn't just any dog. He was a legend in the making, a sleek German shepherd with eyes like burnished steel and a stance that commanded silence. From the moment he graduated top of his K9 class, Axel had become the gold standard, obedient to the letter, never wavering, never hesitating. He had assisted in over 60 arrests, sniffed out narcotics from hidden compartments, and once stood his ground against an armed suspect until backup arrived. Officers called him the Blade because he was sharp, quick, and precise. But underneath the uniform, Axel was still a living being. He'd been molded by years of repetition, commands, rewards, and strict reinforcement. Every muscle in his body responded to orders before thoughts. Sit, stay, attack, heal. And yet there were moments, brief, fleeting moments, when his ears would twitch toward a crying child in a crowd, or his eyes would linger a little longer on something unseen, almost as if something in him remembered he wasn't just a machine. His bond with his handler, Officer Braden Cole, was ironclad. Cole had trained him from puphood, believed in his precision, and praised his lack of emotional contamination. In the handler's eyes, Axel was perfect, not because he cared, but because he didn't. He followed orders, every single time. But that belief would soon be tested, because behind the perfect record and the flawless obedience, something had survived. A spark, a whisper of instinct. And when a child's life would one day hang in the balance, that long-buried instinct would rise and challenge everything Axel had been taught. Because sometimes, saving a life means breaking every rule you've ever followed. Noah had just turned 8 last month. He hadn't wanted a big party. He didn't know enough kids to invite. Just a quiet afternoon with his mom, a slice of cake, and a single candle. That was enough. They'd recently moved to this unfamiliar city after his parents' divorce. His mom Elise worked long hours as a nurse, often coming home with tired eyes and gentle apologies. Noah understood. He didn't ask for much. But in her absence, he'd made a world of his own. Books, doodles in his sketch pad, wandering the little park near their apartment. He was a quiet child. Shy, sensitive, always watching, always thinking. The kind of boy who would stop to help a lost bird or cry when a cartoon character got hurt. He didn't speak much at school, and though the teachers noticed, they figured he just needed time. But sometimes, Noah would linger after school, alone, sitting on the swings, lost in thought, or drawing superheroes in the dirt with a stick. That's when he felt safest, alone, yet in control, until that day when he noticed the man who kept walking behind him, the man who didn't smile, didn't say hello, just watched. Noah had seen him before, near the grocery store, near the school, but now, the man was getting closer, and Noah's little hands began to tremble. He didn't scream, he didn't run. Something inside him froze. That same feeling animals get just before a predator pounces. And while the world kept moving, cars driving by, people laughing in the distance, Noah stood there all alone. Just a boy in the wrong place at the wrong time. Helpless. But he had no idea that someone had seen him. Someone with 4 legs, a deep growl, and a heart that would soon defy everything. Officer Braden Cole was a man who believed in rules. Not because he was cold, but because life had taught him that emotions got people hurt. Protocols existed for a reason. To protect, to guide, to maintain control when chaos erupted. And in his 10 years on the force, no partner had embodied that belief better than Axel. He had raised the dog from a stubborn 6-month-old pup into the most reliable canine on the force. Axel wasn't just a partner. He was an extension of Cole himself. Efficient, predictable, flawless. Braden took pride in their synchronicity. Every command, every maneuver, every takedown had been the result of months, years of repetition and training. He trusted Axel not to think, not to feel, but to respond. That's what made him valuable. That's what made him safe. But Braden carried his own burdens. A failed marriage, sleepless nights, memories of a case that went bad, where hesitation had cost a child their life. That day haunted him. And ever since he'd sworn, no emotion, no second-guessing, just follow the rules. That's why when Axel disobeyed that afternoon in the Shar alley, refusing to heel, growling without command, Braden's world jolted. At first, he barked orders, furious, stunned, but then he saw the look in Axel's eyes. Something deeper than disobedience, something urgent, almost human. Braden froze, torn between the man who enforced the law and the partner who might just be sensing what he couldn't. It was in that moment, that flicker of uncertainty, that everything changed, and Braden would soon learn a truth that would shake him to his core. Sometimes, the bravest act isn't following the rules. Sometimes it's trusting the heart of the one who can't speak, but still knows. Noah didn't expect anything special that day. He sat alone on a park bench, knees hugged to his chest, sketchbook unopened. It was just another quiet afternoon, until the sound of boots and paws snapped him out of his thoughts. Then, he saw him, a large German shepherd in full police gear, strong, alert, focused. Everything about him screamed authority, except for one thing. He was staring directly at Noah. Axel halted mid-step. His handler gave a sharp tug on the leash. "Move, Axel!" But the dog didn't flinch. His eyes locked on the boy, tail stiff but not aggressive. For a few seconds, everything around them blurred. Axel tilted his head ever so slightly. Noah's heartbeat quickened, but not from fear, from something else. Recognition. Axel approached, one paw after the other. Slow, cautious. This wasn't normal. Not for a K9 trained to ignore civilians. Not for a dog conditioned to respond only to danger or command. The boy lifted his hand slightly. Breath caught in his throat. Axel sniffed his fingers, then sat. Just like that. No bark, no hesitation. His handler, Officer Braden Cole, looked stunned. He yanked the leash back. "Let's go." Axel obeyed, but not before giving Noah one last look. Something had passed between them. Not just curiosity, something deeper. As if Axel had seen something in the boy others hadn't. It didn't end with one meeting. Every day after school, Noah returned to the same bench. And like clockwork, Axel would slow his patrol near the edge of the park. Their eyes would meet. A wag of the tail. A nudge of the nose. 1 minute turned into 5, then 10. Axel began pulling subtly toward the boy. A trained K9, breaching routine, seeking someone out. That was unheard of. Officer Cole noticed. "Keep walking," he muttered. But Axel hesitated every time Noah was near. Noah began talking to him about his drawings, his mom's long work hours, the bullies at school. Axel listened, always still, always calm. When Noah reached out to pet him, Axel didn't flinch. He leaned into the touch like he'd been waiting for it. The change didn't go unnoticed. "Your dog's slipping," another officer teased. 2. Much belly rub time? But it wasn't just affection. It was focus. Axel chose Noah, as if sensing something others ignored. A silent mission written in the tilt of his ears and the stillness of his posture. And while the department frowned on over-familiarity, Axel didn't care. Neither did Noah. Each found comfort in the other. A boy with no one to talk to. A dog bound by rules, but drawn to something he couldn't explain. It started with a growl, low, deep, from the chest. Axel's hackles rose as he fixed his gaze on a man standing across the park. A tall figure in a gray hoodie, lurking near the trees. The man wasn't doing anything yet, just watching. "Axel, leave it," Cole ordered. The dog didn't move. Eyes sharp, stance tense. The moment passed. The man walked away. Axel settled. But the next day, it happened again. Same man, same spot, same reaction. Only this time Axel moved forward, leash straining, teeth bared. His bark exploded like thunder. "Stand down!" Cole yelled, yanking him back. Noah had seen it too. He shrank behind the bench, eyes wide with fear. "Who is that?" he asked, voice barely a whisper. Cole scanned the area. The man was gone. False. "Alert," he muttered, more to himself than to Axel. But the unease was growing. The handler began marking incidents in his report log. Axel's alerts were getting frequent, always near that man. Still, there was no visible threat. No crime. Just suspicion. And suspicions weren't enough. Cole knelt beside his partner that evening. "You're making me look bad, boy. What's gotten into you?" Axel didn't respond. He just stared off in the direction the man had vanished, as if he knew something no one else did. And deep down, for the first time in years, Braden Cole began to wonder, what if Axel wasn't wrong? What if the real danger was already watching, waiting, planning, and Axel was the only one who sensed it? At first, no one paid him much attention. A tall man in his early 40s, with an unshaven face and a cap pulled low. He lingered near the edge of the playground, pretending to scroll through his phone. Sometimes he'd sit on a nearby bench with a coffee cup. Other times he stood just outside the school's outer fence, hands in his pockets, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. He never caused a scene, never broke any laws, but he was always watching, and not just watching Noah. It started small, a wave here, a smile there. One day Noah said he thought the man was just someone's dad. But when he told his mother, she brushed it off. "Probably someone waiting for their kid, honey. Don't worry." Then came the first approach. The man called Noah by name. Noah froze. "Hey, buddy," he said, casually holding out a brightly wrapped candy bar. "I think your mom asked me to come pick you up today." Noah didn't move. His eyes darted across the street, searching, hoping. That's when Axel and Officer Cole happened to be on routine patrol. Axel locked eyes with the man. And everything about the dog's demeanor changed. Hackles rose, teeth bared. The growl rumbled like a warning shot from the depths of something primal. The man took a step back, pretending to laugh it off. "Sorry," he mumbled. Thought he was someone else. He disappeared down the sidewalk, but Axel didn't forget. His body remained coiled, tense, alert, as if memorizing that man's scent, his movements, his threat. Cole tugged the leash. "Easy, Axel," he said, but his voice held doubt. There was no evidence, no charges, just a sinking feeling in the gut, and a K9 who wasn't acting like himself anymore. Axel had been trained to distinguish threats with mechanical precision. Drugs, explosives, aggression, he'd handled it all. But nothing in his programming accounted for this feeling, and yet it grew stronger every day. Each time the man showed up near Noah's school, Axel reacted instantly, not with curiosity or confusion, but with absolute conviction. His body would tense, and he'd shift protectively between Noah and the man. The second the stranger appeared, Axel would growl, bark, even pull hard enough to nearly snap his leash. At first, Cole thought it was a one-off anomaly, a rogue scent, a misfire. But this wasn't just reaction, it was obsession. Axel no longer responded to sit commands when the man was nearby. He refused to stay on patrol routes if Noah was alone in the park. During one shift, he even broke free from Cole's grip and ran toward the stranger, teeth bared and barking so fiercely a bystander screamed. Cole had never seen him like this. Other handlers started to notice. "He's unstable," one said. "Too emotional," another warned. "He's crossing lines." But Cole knew Axel. He trusted his judgment, and deep down, something didn't sit right with him either. Still, the pressure was building. Department guidelines demanded discipline, obedience without question. Axel's repeated outbursts were starting to pile up. His superiors began asking for incident reports. Behavioral assessments were ordered, and each time, Axel would sit there silently, panting heavily, as if knowing he was being judged. For caring too much. He wasn't malfunctioning. He was trying to protect someone, but the world saw it differently. They called it erratic, unstable, unfit, and that's when the consequences started rolling in. The report came down from above, effective, immediately. K9 Axel is to be removed from active patrol pending evaluation. Cole stared at the paper, heart sinking. His partner, his loyal, decorated partner, was being pulled off the street, not for failing, but for feeling. "He's just not reliable anymore," said the K9 unit supervisor. "You've seen the reports. Aggressive, disobedient, emotional. Attachment to a civilian boy? That's a red flag, Cole," Cole wanted to argue. Wanted to scream that Axel wasn't wrong, that maybe they were the ones not listening. But in this line of work, there were rules, regulations, a chain of command that didn't make room for instinct or unexplained gut feelings. Axel was taken to the kennel, not just a place of rest, but isolation. Removed from Cole, from Noah, from the one thing he was trying to protect. He paced endlessly in his cage, ears pinned, eyes duller with every passing hour. When Cole came to visit, Axel didn't leap to his feet like before. He just looked up, confused, betrayed. Cole crouched outside the kennel, hand pressed to the gate. "I'm trying, boy," he whispered. "I'm doing everything I can." But Axel didn't understand policies. He only understood danger, and he was sure of one thing: Noah was in trouble. Somehow, some way. And if they wouldn't let him protect the boy, he'd find a way to do it himself, even if it meant breaking every rule he'd ever been trained to follow. It was an unusually quiet afternoon. Noah's teacher had dismissed him early after a substitute filled in for the last class. He clutched, his backpack tight to his chest, and walked alone, tracing his familiar path home. The sun was already beginning to set, casting long shadows through the neighborhood. His mom wasn't expecting him this early. Noah liked walking past the corner bakery. Sometimes, if he timed it right, he could smell the warm rolls just as they came out of the oven. But this time, he didn't notice the scent. Something felt off. He sensed he was being watched, and he was right. A few feet behind, concealed in the lengthening shadows of parked cars and alleyways, the man followed. The same man with the cap, the same man with the too casual smile and unreadable eyes. His steps were quiet, calculated. Every time Noah glanced back, the man seemed to vanish into the background, but never too far. This time, he wasn't waving or pretending to be friendly. He was stalking. Noah quickened his pace. He thought about turning back towards school, but something told him it was already too far. His throat tightened. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple, and his little heart pounded like a drum in his chest. He turned a corner, then heard the sound that froze him. A car door clicking open. The man's voice, low but urgent. "Come here, your mom's hurt. She asked me to take you to her." Noah stepped back, panicked. He didn't speak. He didn't scream. He was just alone. Until something unexpected stirred miles away. Locked away in his kennel, Axel should have been resting. But suddenly, his ears perked up. He stood, tail stiff, eyes alert. He began to pace. A whine escaped his throat, low, desperate. Then another. Something was wrong. No scent, no sound, just instinct. The air shifted in his lungs like it did during storms or stakeouts. His body, trained for control, was now fighting itself. Rage, urgency, protection. He knew. Somehow, somewhere, Noah was in danger, and no one else could feel it. Axel started barking loud and sharp. The other dogs joined in, but his voice was different. Urgent, unhinged. When a trainer came to check on him, Axel saw his opening. Soon as the gate unlatched, Axel charged, down the hallway, past the surprised handlers, out the back gate, through the narrow gap by the fence he had memorized long ago. No leash, no handler, just mission. The wind ripped past his ears as he sprinted across town. Every turn, every alley, every street corner burned into his mind like a living map. He ignored honking cars, darted through backyards, vaulted over low fences. People shouted, pointed, but he didn't slow. Axel wasn't running away. He was running to Noah because somewhere deep inside, a primal bond stronger than any training was pulling him like a magnet toward the boy who had once offered him a gentle hand and was now in desperate need of saving. The man had backed Noah into a quiet alley just 2 blocks from the school. One strong hand gripped the boy's arm. The other reached into his coat. Noah's eyes welled with tears. He tried to pull away, but the man whispered through clenched teeth, "You scream, and I'll make sure you never see your mom again." And then, a blur of black and tan shot into the alley like a bullet. Axel. The growl that followed was nothing like the low warnings from before. This was a roar, a violent, soul-chilling command from a creature no longer obeying orders, but acting on something deeper, something sacred. The man froze. Noah stared, wide-eyed. Axel's paws hit the ground like thunder as he lunged. The man let go. Too late. Axel collided with his arm, knocking him to the ground, jaws snapping. The stranger screamed, scrambled back, blood dripping from his forearm. The van's side door swung open, but Axel stood between him and the boy like a wall of fury. Another lunge. The man bolted, limping, nearly tripping over his own feet as he fled into the street. Within moments, sirens wailed in the distance. Cole had been tracking Axel's GPS collar. By the time the squad cars screeched to a halt, Noah was huddled on the ground, sobbing, but safe. And Axel. He sat beside the boy, chest heaving, ears forward, still alert, still protective, still breaking every rule he'd ever been taught, because some rules weren't meant to be followed, especially when a child's life was on the line. The flashing red and blue lights bathed the alley in a chaotic glow. Within minutes, the scene was swarming with police officers, paramedics, and Axel's handler, Cole. The man who had been chasing protocols and discipline now stood frozen, his face a mix of relief, confusion, and disbelief. Cole's heart pounded as he spotted Axel sitting loyally next to Noah, the boy trembling but safe. His first thought was sharp. The dog broke protocol. He ran off leash. He attacked without command. There was a sharp pang of panic. In the world of K9 training, rules were everything. Axel was elite, a shining example of obedience, precision, and control. Yet here he was, disobeying orders, breaking every standard. The handler's mind raced. What would this mean? Could Axel be punished, reassigned, or worse? Officers quickly secured the area. Noah was wrapped in blankets, comforted by paramedics. while Cole crouched beside Axel, running his hands through the dog's thick fur, trying to calm the fierce. Adrenaline still pumping through the animal's veins. Though the relief was palpable, a silent question hung heavy in the air. Had Axel just crossed a line? As the police investigation unfolded, shocking truths surfaced. The man who had tried to lure Noah was no ordinary stranger. He had a criminal record, flagged for attempted abduction and assault in neighboring towns. His presence near the school wasn't a coincidence. He had been watching children for days. Security, camera footage, reviewed from nearby shops and traffic cams, showed the entire chilling sequence. The man's approach, Noah's hesitation, and then Axel's break from routine to charge in with ferocious determination. Every frame confirmed what everyone had sensed but couldn't explain, that Axel's disobedience was an act of instinctual heroism. News spread quickly. Social media buzzed with clips of the rescue, interviews with Noah, and heartfelt praise for Axel's bravery. The dog who broke the rules was now being celebrated for saving a life. The narrative changed. What once looked like insubordination was now a powerful testament to loyalty, courage, and an unbreakable bond. Back at the station, Cole sat quietly beside Axel. The man who once believed in rules over everything now faced a profound reckoning. Tears welled in his eyes, not of weakness, but of gratitude and newfound respect. Axel wasn't just a trained K9, he was a protector guided by something deeper than commands, intuition, love, and unwavering devotion. Cole realized that trust sometimes had to transcend rigid orders. The handler's breakdown was private, but transformative. Axel's name spread beyond law enforcement circles. He became a symbol of hope and courage, the K9 who defied protocol, to do what no training manual could teach, save a life when it mattered most. Noah's family visited Axel every week afterward. The bond between boy and dog grew stronger, a living reminder that sometimes breaking the rules isn't rebellion, it's heroism. The moment Noah saw Axel waiting by the gate, his face lit up like the sun breaking through a storm. The boy ran forward, his small arms wrapping tightly around the K9's strong neck. Axel leaned into the embrace, his tail wagging slowly but steadily, as if he understood the gravity of the moment. For Noah, Axel wasn't just a dog. He was a guardian, a silent hero who had fought against danger when no one else could. The warmth of Axel's fur against his cheek brought tears to Noah's eyes, not from fear, but from relief and gratitude. Around them, the world softened. The chaos of sirens and flashing lights faded into a gentle silence, filled only with the steady rhythm of breathing and the unspoken bond between boy and dog. Nearby, family and friends watched quietly, some dabbing their eyes, overwhelmed by the purity of this reunion. The fear and uncertainty that had gripped them all now melted away, replaced by hope and a profound sense of safety. Soft music swelled, an emotional melody that seemed to carry every heartbeat, every tear, every whisper of thanks. In that perfect moment, it was clear. Axel was not just a police dog, he was a lifeline, a friend, and a hero who had rewritten the rules for love. Cole stood a few feet away, watching the reunion with a mixture of awe and humility. For years, he had trained Axel to follow orders without question, to trust discipline above all else. But today, everything had changed. He didn't follow the rule book, Cole said quietly, voice thick with emotion. But he followed his heart. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. They spoke to the unspoken truth every handler knows deep down. Sometimes the heart knows what the mind can't predict. Cole's hands trembled slightly as he reached down to stroke Axel's head. You showed me that loyalty isn't just about obedience, it's about courage, about knowing when to break the rules to do what's right. Tears welled in his eyes as he realized that Axel had taught him a lesson far greater than any training manual ever could. That day marked a turning point, not just for Axel and Noah, but for Cole himself. A reminder that in a world filled with rules and routines, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is listen to your heart. Sometimes the most powerful lessons come from the unexpected, the quiet instincts and deep compassion that rise above rigid rules. Axel's story is a reminder that cold protocols, no matter how strict, can't always capture the complexity of real life. Animals like Axel have a unique way of sensing danger, pain, and emotions that humans often miss. They rely on instincts, honed by loyalty and love. Sometimes those instincts are more accurate than any command or manual. This story urges us to rethink the way we value intuition and heart, both in ourselves and in the creatures who protect us. Maybe, just maybe, listening more to those quiet signals, whether from a dog's growl or a gut feeling, could save lives. Axel broke the rules not out of rebellion, but out of a profound sense of duty and care. That kind of courage, that kind of love, is the true definition of heroism. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think? Did Axel do the right thing by breaking the rules to save Noah? Or do you believe the chain of command should always come first? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters and can spark important conversations about trust, instinct, and the bond between humans and animals. And if you believe animals can be heroes too, just like Axel, please share this story with your friends and family. Let's celebrate the incredible bravery of our four-legged protectors and remind the world that sometimes breaking the rules means saving a life.